in this video, we're going to learn about how to graph a sine and a cosine function that has a whole bunch of different changes. So the equation is written y equals a sine of bx plus c plus d, and y equals a cosine of bx plus c plus d. So basically, it's how do I graph a sine or a cosine function where they can change pretty much all the things. So you have to know, what are all the things? What does the a, the b, the c, and the d even do? So what each letter does. So the a represents the amplitude, which is the height of the wave. So what I have graphed here, this is y is equal to sine of x. This is the parent function. And you'll notice that from the middle to the top, this value right here is 1. That is my amplitude. That's the height. So it's from the middle, from this middle line, okay, all the way to the top. So if I changed my amplitude to 2, okay, I would get a graph that looks like this. So you can see the height of my waves change, but it still has my main points on the on the zeros. But then this value right here is 2, and this value right here is 2. Okay, B changes the period. So the period means how often the graph repeats itself. Cosine and sine both repeat themselves every 2 pi. That we said that's what the period is. So if I change the period, what's going to happen is I can take my graph and it'll get smaller. It can change it so that I kind of shrink it in like this, or I can change it so that I expand it out so that it looks like that. That's what it means to change the period. It changes the frequency, like how fast the waves are moving up and down. Okay, the C and the D are going to move our graphs right and left, and the D is going to move the graph up and down. And just like every other graph that you translate, with the x value to move the graph right or left, it's opposite. So if you had like an x minus pi, that would move it, this would actually move it to the right. And if you had x plus pi, this would move it to the left. Or the up and down shift, if you see it has like, you're going to have x minus pi on the inside, but then if it was plus 2, this is going to move it up. But if you had this x minus pi and then you had minus 2, this is going to move it down. So just like every other shift that you have, if it's with the x, it's opposite. If it's outside of where the x is, then it is the way that it is. Okay, but how do you know, what are you even supposed to do first? This is the part that gets tricky. Okay, first you want to find the period. That's the B value. You want to use the B value to find the new period. I did not include an example in this video where you have a B and a C value together because that adds a whole extra level that will make this video way too long. So if you need help with that one, I have another video that you should watch. Okay, so first you want to identify what is the period. Plot out the points, okay? So you can determine what are those 5 main points that you're going to have. We'll go through this. Then you want to change the altitude. So you want to look at those top and bottom points, your max and your min, and you want to make them the appropriate height. Then each one of those points, there'll still be 5 of them, then you want to move up and down or right or left or both, depending on what your equation tells you. Then you want to connect all your points. So I have 2 examples for you. So hopefully this can kind of give you a better idea. So I don't have a B value here out in front because right here, there's no number here and there's no number here, okay? So my period is just my regular period, which is 2 pi. So that's good. So that means, and I'm looking at my graph that's cosine. So the cosine graph starts up. So I'm going to start my points up and I'm going to 2 pi. So down like this. Okay, so those are going to be my main points. Then I'm going to change the amplitude. So when I change the amplitude, that means if I was to sketch in my graph, okay, there's my main cosine graph. It needs, though, to go all the way up to 3. So this point right here, this point right here, and this point right here, I need to move to +3 and -3. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to move these points. So this one's going up to 3, this one's going down to 3, and this one's going up, whoops, up to 3 here. Okay, now I'm going to shift my graph right or left. So this this plus pi tells me that I'm going to move a left pi. Okay, so pi happens to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 spaces. So I'm going to take each point and I'm going to move it left. 6 spaces on my graph. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a point. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's a point. 2, 3, 4. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. Now I've done all of those things. Now I can connect my final graph. And there is one period of y equals 3 cosine x plus pi. Let's do the next example. Okay, this one I threw in everything but the b. Okay, so the period is going to stay the same because I don't have a number here or here. All right, now, so that means, and this is a sine graph, and the sine graph starts down. So I'm going to plot my points, and my period stays the same. So those are going to be my main points of my sine graph. Okay, then it tells me that my amplitude is 2. So these points right here, I have to move them up to 2 and down to 2. So I'm going to get rid of these guys here. And it's really good to do this with a pencil, by the way, because then you can erase the stuff you need to. Okay, so I've done my period. I've done my amplitude. Now I have to move. This tells me I'm moving right pi over 2, up 1. Okay, so pi over 2, you'll notice is 3 spaces on my x-axis. So I'm going to move 3 spaces right and then 2 spaces up because each two is 1 going in my y-axis. So I'm going to go 3 spaces right, 1, 2, 3, 2 spaces up. 3 spaces right, 2 spaces up. 3 spaces right, 2 spaces up. 3 spaces right, 2 spaces up. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2. Okay, so now I'm going to connect my green guys. And now I have one period of y equals 2 sine of x minus pi over 2 plus 1. Let me know if you have any other questions. Again, if you need an example, I can show you like this, okay? Y equals 2 times the sine of 2 over 3x plus pi over 2 minus 1. You'll want to catch another video because this one's going to take me a little bit to explain. Let me know if you have any other questions. Good luck.